you.
Go again.
Hold your breath as we dive headfirst into the realm of unscripted mayhem and witness the most epic bloopers and blunders that television history has to offer. Watch as seasoned professionals find themselves caught in unpredictable situations, and their bewildered expressions become the essence of comedy. Join us as we have a look at some of the funniest fails on live television. Expert meteorologist. The power of touchscreens is truly incredible. We all remember the excitement when we got our first smartphone, but meteorologist Greg Dutra took it to another level. During a live weather update on WLS-TV in Chicago, he accidentally touched his screen and magically manipulated the presentation. The reaction? Well, it was priceless. He acted like a child in a candy shop, and even the anchor couldn't resist joining in.
I didn't know. Can I zoom? Oh, man.
I just hope that Greg doesn't realize that he can control the weather too, or if he does, that he's on our side. Carol Costello. Have you ever tried explaining something while being constantly interrupted? It's as annoying as someone asking for directions and interrupting you with more questions. Imagine being a weatherman like Chad Myers, trying to talk about Hurricane Katrina on live TV, and anchor Carol Costello keeps cutting in for clarification. Poor Myers couldn't handle it anymore and he snapped. "Let me talk, Carol." He even threw his papers in frustration.
Chad,
Let me talk, Carol.
Translate that for us. I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Well, if you would let me talk.
Later, he tried to cover it up by pretending that it was all in good fun, but it looked pretty genuine. However, it was 4:30 in the morning. Run-in with a turkey. On the streets, journalists have enough of a time trying to make it to the big leagues without having some turkey coming at them, but in this clip, the reporter can't catch a break. In what looks like should have been a simple live shot on the side of the road, this turkey takes umbrage to the presence of the reporter and lets him know that it means business. It pecks at his microphone, chases him up and down the road, all the while his camera operator sits by and watches, no doubt laughing his pants off. Elephants in crisis. Kenyan elephants faced a tough time in 2022 due to a terrible drought. However, amidst all the gloom, there was a glimmer of hope and humor. A journalist by the name of Alvin Kunda filmed a segment about baby elephants being cared for in a Kenyan orphanage. As the little ones explored, one mischievous elephant decided to inspect the reporter with its trunk. Being a good sport, Kunda took it all in stride until the trunk reached his face.
Save our wild species and provide a home.
Unable to contain himself, he then burst into giggles. Makeup mishap. Imagine that you're Carol Walker, the television star of the BBC News, and it's only a few minutes before your important 9 a.m. segment. You think, well, I've got a little bit of time to fix myself up, so you grab your handbag like a pro and begin primping. But no, that camera cuts way too early, and now viewers see you fixing your hair, completely unaware that it's only 8:56 a.m.
This is BBC News. I'm Carol Walker. The headlines at 9.
What a surprise it must have been for all those who tuned in and saw your purse sitting on the desk. Tony Armstrong. Former Australian rules footballer turned sports presenter Tony Armstrong found himself in a giggle-inducing situation on the morning show. When weatherman Nate Byrne went missing, anchor Joe O'Brien tried to hand off the program to Nate, but the camera cut back to Tony instead. Tony tried to handle the weather himself as a team player would, showcasing his improv skills.
I'm doing my best, though. I'm doing my best. Vancouver, we're all over the place.
It was a delightful amount of chaos behind the scenes as everyone struggled to keep up. While the segment never got back on track, watching Tony play for time and the backstage struggle proved endlessly entertaining. Axe throwing. This reporter attempted to throw an axe, but it was supposed to hit the target and not the tipsy bunch behind it. Talk about a horror scene. Like a confused squirrel, the axe went off on its own adventure, heading directly at the drum team. It's like the axe had its own party plans. Maybe he should have stuck to writing stories instead of aiming sharp objects. Safety first, everyone. Let's just hope the team forgives the reporter and finds a safer way to entertain themselves. Presidential mishap. In a hilarious turn of events, President Joe Biden, known for his unintentional gaffes, dropped a bomb of a different kind during a momentous occasion.
That's a great asset. More inflation. What a stupid son of a...
As vice president, he got caught up in the excitement of President Obama signing the health care bill into law, and leaning in close to sum up the moment, he slipped out some colorful language that the podium microphones were all too happy to broadcast to the world.
Joe Biden quietly dropped the F-bomb in the president's ear.
While everyone agreed the bill was a big deal, the choice of words was definitely more R-rated than what news coverage usually expects. It didn't take long for that blooper to become a popular t-shirt slogan, turning the political mishap into a fashion statement. Manchester United are rubbish. In a comical mix-up, BBC News accidentally flashed a cheeky message about Manchester United on their ticker. As tennis updates appeared on the screen, the words "Manchester United are rubbish" unexpectedly scrolled by.
And is one step closer to reaching week 2 of a Grand Slam for the first time.
United fans were naturally displeased, and the BBC was forced to apologize. It turns out that the message was just random text that was typed up by someone who was learning to use the ticker, never expecting it to be broadcast. It's an innocent mistake, but definitely revealed that there's at least one person at the BBC who is not a fan of Manchester United. Naked Gardening Day. During a lively discussion about World Naked Gardening Day on Something Good Day Philadelphia, host Mike Jarek unintentionally made a risque innuendo.
You know, I'd like to see the hose and the rakes and trowels and all the equipment they use.
Poor Jarek realized his slip-up as soon as the words left his mouth, while his co-host, Alex Holly, struggled to stifle her laughter.
My heart stopped for a second.
No.
It's a classic case of words with multiple meanings, especially the taboo ones overshadowing innocent definitions. We can all sympathize with his predicament and imagine that similar situations happen again in the future. Football failure. During live coverage of an NFL game in Minnesota, former NFL coach Jim Mora accidentally made a comment that was not meant for viewers.
Yeah, because he didn't play. I mean, I'm sure there's other games where he might have had first 6 carries, only gained 18 yards, but he played the rest of the game.
Trying to lighten the mood, anchor Scott Walker cracked a joke about Mora losing patience with his fellow commentators. Unaware of being live on air, Mora burst into laughter and suggested his salty opinion of the Joker to his colleagues. But little did they know, they were live on television. Trying to salvage the situation, his colleagues awkwardly agreed that Walker was full of it. And it took a moment for Mora to catch on, but when he did, it led to a hysterical moment shared by viewers. Wacky weather. This weather guy was just trying to do his job, but the feisty pelican had other plans. Instead of being a cooperative co-worker, the pelican decided to become a weather bully. It was like a grumpy bird on a mission to peck and attack the poor reporter.
You love it. You love it.
Talk about a not-so-friendly work environment. The weather forecast turned into an amusing battle between man and bird, with the pelican giving a whole new meaning to foul weather. Let's just hope the weatherman invests in a pelican-proof umbrella for future broadcasts. Yakety sacks. The Chris Bencher scandal in the UK was a total disaster, leading to so many government officials resigning, which included Boris Johnson himself. People were thrilled to see him go, and the music they chose for the media frenzy was absolutely priceless.
Caretaker Prime Minister can't really introduce any new policy or any significant new legislation.
It all began when actor Hugh Grant tweeted to activist Steve Bray, telling him to play Benny Hill's funny music. And guess what? Bray actually did it. He started blasting yakety sax right outside of British Parliament. It was so hilarious that it ended up on live broadcasts, turning the entire situation into a real-life meme. Cell phone silliness. Now, we all know the struggle of resisting the urge to check our phones, especially when we have a spare moment. That's why cell phones are banned in schools and workplaces. It's crucial to set limits so that you don't keep getting distracted during work hours. Just imagine if you accidentally ended up on live television while mindlessly scrolling. That's exactly what happened to BBC anchor Joanna Gosling. She was caught red-handed, phone in hand, when the camera unexpectedly cut to her. She had a startled reaction but quickly regained her composure like a pro.
Hello, you're watching BBC News.
And who knows, maybe she was just waiting for another spare minute to continue her phone adventures. Reporter hit by a car. Now, I'll start by saying that everyone involved turned out completely fine, but the incident still managed to create quite the frightful moment. A reporter was giving a live update on a water main development in Dunbar, West Virginia, but before she could even begin, out of nowhere, a car introduced itself to her by knocking her over. Thankfully, that car was not in a hurry, so she only found herself off of her feet.
I really thought I was in a good spot, but now going to Pittsburgh, I will definitely learn from this, and hopefully this will never happen again.
The driver, seemingly perplexed by the roadwork, was incredibly sorry. However, the reporter, being the pro that she was, bounced back up like a champ. She assured everyone that she was all right and continued with the report. Now that's dedication. She did go to the hospital afterwards to be safe, but turned out to be fine in the end. Hogging the screen. A regular day would turn into a breakfast bonanza for a television journalist. Just as he was reporting live, a pig appeared out of nowhere and chased him like a bacon-seeking missile. This reporter's encounter with the trotting terror surely will make it into the Hog Hall of Fame. The pig stole the show, leaving the poor journalist feeling more like a cereal side dish.
Καλημέρα, έχουμε ένα θέμα. Γιώργο, μ' ακούς, έχουμε ένα γουρούνι εδώ πέρα το οποίο μας κυνηγάει από το πρωί.
It seemed as though this piggy was determined to hog the limelight, and boy did it succeed. The journalist probably will think twice before bringing home the bacon again. Emma Baker. In the world of live television, embarrassing incidents can happen when we least expect them. Take this one at ITV. In England, for example, host Emma Baker was multitasking, casually chatting and fixing her clothing and hair, thinking that she was off camera.
Is this your wife or Jan? Because you're always talking to her.
But little did she know that she was actually live. To make matters worse, she made some amusing comments about an off-screen colleague, asking if the woman in his story was his wife or if it was someone he was spending too much time with. Self-objection. The Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial may have been more like a live streaming comedy event than a regular one.
And Mr. Depp was trying to urinate in the foyer, wasn't he?
No.
Mr. Depp had his...
Now, I'm not going to bore you with all of the details of this highly publicized celebrity court case, but I'll focus on a funny moment when Amber Heard's lawyer began to question Johnny Depp's former house manager, Ben King. When the lawyer didn't get the answer he expected, he objected, but the judge quickly reminded him that it was his own question.
He sustained an injury on one of his fingers.
Objection, hearsay.
Wait, you asked the question.
Okay.
It seems that we should lower our expectations a bit for celebrity lawyers. Gordon Brown. In a comical turn of events, just a week before a tough election, Britain's Prime Minister Gordon Brown found himself in a terribly timed television blunder. Hoping for a campaign boost, he was caught in a live moment of awkwardness when a woman, chosen to make him look relatable, brought up the touchy subject of immigration. On camera, he had plastered on a smile and remained composed.
All these Eastern Europeans what are coming in, where are they flocking from?
But once he hopped into his car, he forgot that he was still mic'd up and let loose his true opinion.
He forgot he was wearing a live microphone, and he spoke his mind.
He called the entire thing a disaster and referred to the woman as a bigoted woman. The local news crew caught every juicy bit of it, and it's one of those rare occurrences where a politician accidentally reveals a tad too much honesty. Blaming video games. Internet trolls strike once again. It seems as though they can't resist mixing up serious events with their dark humor. Picture this. A former Japanese prime minister was tragically assassinated while giving a speech. But the trolls wasted no time in pointing figures at famous video game designer Hideo Kojima. They even cooked up other crazy stories, and to make matters worse, some news outlets fell for the prank and broadcasted pictures of Kojima.
Then another.
They had to apologize and take everything back, and now legal action is on the horizon, reminding us that fake news can be quite harmful. Gotta catch 'em all. In 2016, Pokemon Go burst onto the gaming scene, causing quite the frenzy amongst players. It was so popular that it created some problems as well. Take the case of Allison Croft, a news anchor in Florida. She was so engrossed in chasing her favorite Pokemon that she walked right in front of the weatherman, Bobby Deskins, during his live broadcast. Poor Bobby was left stunned by her obliviousness. She would later share the video on her Facebook page with a funny caption that read, "That moment when you realize you might be addicted to Pokemon Go."
St. Pete right now. Got a Pokemon? She's looking at Pokemon right now.
It's a reminder to watch out for real-life obstacles while catching virtual creatures. The slap heard round the world. In a shocking turn of events at the 94th Academy Awards, comedian Chris Rock decided to spice things up by teasing actor Jada Pinkett Smith. But her husband, Will Smith, did not find it funny at all. He took matters into his own hands and gave Rock a good slap across the face, followed by a passionate outburst of colorful language.
Oh, wow! Wow!
The audience and everyone watching was left stunned, and critics had a field day bashing both Smith and the Academy for their lack of action. To make matters worse, Smith not only got to stay at the ceremony, but even went on to accept an award shortly after. Daydreaming on live television. Daydreaming at work is a common occurrence. We've all had those spacey moments when we should be focused, but imagine the shock that Natasha Exelby felt when she was caught daydreaming on live TV. She got lost in her thoughts while absent-mindedly playing with her pen, and it would cost her on-air shifts.
Now to sport with Meredith Sheehan.
Viewers even began a petition to bring her back, and it just proves that everyone enjoys seeing someone being human, even if it means being caught daydreaming. Camera becomes self-aware. Live television has its fair share of mishaps, and sometimes technology cannot be controlled. Take this instance, where a remote-controlled camera goes crazy in the studio and begins moving itself while a reporter is trying to deliver the news. As it slowly creeps across the stage, you can see the reporter's anguish as he's forced to play a live on-air version of hide-and-seek. He kept his composure, though, and continued on like the professional that he is. Live photobombing. The Minister of State for Civil Aviation, very serious and important, was giving an interview outside of Parliament. But then, out of nowhere, a mischievous girl pops up behind him and ruins the perfect shot. Talk about unexpected entertainment during a live broadcast. It's like when you're posing for a nice picture and suddenly your friend makes a silly face. The minister's moment was definitely photobombed, and it must have been quite the surprise for everyone involved. The one-finger salute. Sometimes during a live news show, you get a glimpse of what goes on behind the scenes. In this uproarious incident, weatherman Thomas Schaffernacker probably wishes that it never made it to the screen. His colleague Simon McCoy was announcing that the weather report would be highly detailed and 100% accurate, and the camera unexpectedly cut to Schaffernacker. Caught off guard, he accidentally flashed the one-fingered salute.
Every now and then, there's always one mistake. That was it.
Panic struck his face, and he quickly tried to disguise it as a chin scratch. The anchors struggled to contain their laughter and joked about it, making for a truly unforgettable television moment. Rolling off the stage. Sacha Baron Cohen has a gift for making crowds laugh. He's like an uproarious tornado sweeping everyone off their feet, from regular folks to those with a few more years under their belt. So it's no surprise he set up a comedy gag at an awards show to shock everyone, involving what appeared to be an elderly person in a wheelchair. It no doubt later gained some laughs, but at the moment it was shocking to those in attendance. Cool as a cucumber. During a live television report, something absolutely crazy happened. Reporter David Williams was just doing his thing, sharing the news, when out of nowhere, a lady wearing a unicorn head showed up. She sprinted towards David, waving her arms like crazy and making strange noises, and David remained as calm as a cucumber throughout the entire spectacle.
But everyone is out safe. We're live now. David Williams first.
You have to give him credit, because if it were me, I probably would have burst into laughter and lost it completely. A windy wind. Two fearless weather reporters were determined to bring you the latest blizzard update, but they were not prepared for the gusts of wind. One of their hats flew off, spinning like a wild tornado, while the other one desperately clung onto his microphone, his tie flapping like a superhero's cape.
And it's actually very dangerous because you have the added bonus of frostbite.
Their hair became a wild mess as the blizzard unleashed its icy fury, and despite their valiant efforts, these intrepid reporters were no match for Mother Nature's sense of humor. You're no Picasso. In a crazy moment, a female reporter turned into a blushing Picasso when her drawing for a game with another reporter went hilariously wrong. The lady simply covered her face, hoping that the ground would swallow her up. They say that laughter is the best medicine, but for her, it was the perfect remedy to save face. So the next time, maybe she should just stick to Pictionary and leave the abstract art to the pros. Tripping on television. When our emotions run wild, we tend to do some silly things, just like this contestant, who was so happy that she didn't see the giant depot sign and tripped over it. It's like being so thrilled about winning a race that you forget to tie your own shoelaces and end up face-planting in front of everyone. She was on cloud nine but got a taste of reality, or in this case, the ground. Remember, excitement can be quite the roller coaster, so you'd better buckle up and watch out for the unexpected hurdles. Dance party. If you stumble upon a live broadcast, you shouldn't just stand there like a statue. Make sure that you've got your funky fresh moves locked and loaded, ready to bust out like a dancing dynamo. Imagine the sheer surprise on everyone's faces as you break into a spontaneous groove like this guy, defying the norms of live television. It's your chance to show off your sick moves and make the world much more groovier. Who knows, you might even become the unexpected star of a show. Attacked by bees. A news reporter and his trusty cameraman were going about their business when suddenly disaster would strike. A truck that was loaded with millions of honeybees decided to do a sweet little somersault right on the highway. And guess who got caught in the buzz? The reporter and his team would end up getting attacked by the bees. They were stung left and right and stumbled into a bee-themed circus.
Linwood area will stay on scene, hopefully won't be getting stung.
Talk about a sticky situation. They're probably rethinking their career choices, and never underestimate the power of a honeybee traffic jam. Phone interruption. When your phone rings at the most awkward moment, you're faced with two choices. You can slyly send the call to voicemail, or dramatically launch your phone across the room. This television guest went for the latter option. Imagine their grand decision as if saying, "Nope, I'll make this moment unforgettable."
Va.
The audience must have been in awe witnessing a phone flying gracefully through the air. Flying shoes. In a hilarious twist of fate, a reporter at China's CCTV English channel was beginning her show in Beijing when out of the blue one of her high heels decided to stage its own flying spectacle across the studio floor.
Hello and welcome, I'm Wang Mengmang.
But she didn't let that stop her. Like a true professional, she kept on going, introducing the agenda without skipping a beat. Talk about high-flying fashion emergencies. You've got to give her props for her composure and ability to keep the show on its toes and continue on like a true pro. A denied goal. Steve Mandando, the quick-witted goalkeeper, was in the middle of a post-match interview when out of nowhere a rogue water bottle zoomed towards him. But being the great keeper he is, he snatched it in midair with lightning-fast reflexes. It was like watching a superhero catching a flying object without sweat. The reporter, startled by this unexpected display of skill, could only mutter, "Well, that's one way to hydrate during an interview." With a smirk, Steve would reply, "Goalkeeping instincts, you know. Gotta save everything, even water bottles." Fashion faux pas. During live news reporting, this poor reporter had a major fashion mishap. It was a moment of pure embarrassment, and we couldn't help but laugh. She should consider hiding in a closet or hiring a dress guardian to save her from any unexpected wind-inducing dress liftoffs. It's all about keeping the news classy and avoiding unintentional wardrobe malfunctions. King of the Jungle. This footage captures an insane moment where a television news reporter was standing next to a lion enclosure reporting about something that was taking place at the zoo.
Leo and Yuna.
Unaware of what was happening behind her, she stood casually reporting as she always did, when suddenly the lion comes up to her, sneakily, and jumps up on the cage trying to attack her. In the end, she left the news report without a scratch, but you can bet that she won't be standing so close to the lion's cage next time. Cooling off. One adventurous reporter embarked on a quest to get an interview with a man only to encounter the hazards of her pursuit. As fate would have it, the man in question did not want to be interviewed, and he turned the interview into a wet and wild affair. While waving his hands and having a nervous grin, he decided to douse the interviewer with a cooler that was full of water in his hand in order to get her away from him.
Are you?
You can go again.
Even in the pursuit of journalistic glory, one has to be prepared for the unexpected and stay on their toes, or risk getting a refreshing surprise straight to the face. Getting drenched. This witty reporter, attempting to check road stiffness with his foot, suffered a comical twist of fate. Unintentionally, he would slip and take an unexpected plunge into a nearby puddle. Talk about a soggy investigation. Perhaps it's best to leave road testing to the professionals who can keep their feet dry and their dignity intact. Which of these live moments did you find the most unsettling? Let's have your answers in the comments down below.